Nike CEO John Donahoe is stepping down, and company veteran Elliott Hill is coming out of retirement to take over as CEO next month. Joining us right now with more on what this means for the future of Nike is Adrienne Yih, who is Barclays U.S. retail senior analyst. And Adrienne, this is a big move. The stock is reflecting that. It's up 6.5% this morning. What needs to be done, and what can he do in quick order?
So I think the big piece of it is that just fundamentally he's a product and marketplace person. And so from the prior management, who had been sort of more of a consulting background and more of a technology background, retail really does need that person who understands product and brand and consumer. So in short order, I think it's just the direction of where he's going to take the company over the next 6 to 9 months. What's already in the pipeline is coming at us, right? So that innovation, and we're set to see that in early 2025.
Yeah, the stuff that's already in the pipeline, okay, that's not going to be things that he can get his hands on and feel around it. We've gotten reports of excitement at the company headquarters, people looking forward to these changes because they know him and know him well. My guess would be there would be outside partnerships that would be pretty important, too, Foot Locker and other places, too. How quickly can they rebuild some of those partnerships and connections?
So from the wholesale channel management, you can start to do that almost immediately. And we already had heard from the company over the past quarter that they were moving away from this DTC strategy, sort of back to the wholesale channel.
Right.
Direct to consumer, exactly, direct to consumer. Right. And so that shift back to the wholesalers, the Dick's Sporting Goods, the Foot Lockers, that had been sort of abandoned for a period of time in favor of their own direct to consumer business. They already had started to move back to that, because he has, a 30-year veteran of the business, and one of his charges was marketplace. So marketplace is this wholesale retail partnerships that can immediately start to feel some impact.
My guess is that to be a retailer today, or to be a product today that's really successful, you have to have both relationships with direct-to-consumer, your own way of reaching them, but also these great partnerships with retailers. Is that a job you think he will be able to do well? If he's coming from the old-school way of thinking of things, and the pressure from shareholders and the board and everyone else is that we went too far towards direct-to-consumer, is there a fine line that he'll be able to walk without kind of shoving that important part of the business aside?
So interestingly, the strategy that was employed was before he actually retired in 2020. And so this movement, or the kind of march toward direct-to-consumer led by digital, right? So this whole world of e-commerce and moving toward that digital environment. What I'll say about kind of the channel mix is there's been so much talk about whether they want to be DTC focused or whether they want to be brand, wholesale focused. And at the end of the day, it's really sort of an output of where the consumer wants to shop and how the channels work together. So I don't necessarily think that he's going to direct from the input side of things where they want to be at some point in time. I think he's of the kind of both of the channels work together. DTC launches and innovates product. It proves the worth of those, and then it moves into the wholesale channel. And they're very, very symbiotic.
So, Adrienne, what do you do with the stock today? It's up 6.5%. Year to date, still down 20%.
What I would say is these types of management changes, so we're at equal weight. So we obviously, are at an equal weight. This is a positive development, just absolutely a positive development. If there are people who tend to kind of think very, very forward-looking about the brand health is still there. This is not a broken brand. This is a brand that's lost its way and can be resurrected, but it will take time. Right, so he steps into the seat on October 14th. They have an analyst day. He'll be at the helm on November 19th. That's going to be a critical moment for investors. And then from there, it's probably about 6 to 9 to 12 months before he really starts to change the business from the trajectory that it's on. We just previewed their quarter. We think the quarter is going to be fine. Right, we think they've de-risked the FY25 guidance, that they don't need to lower numbers, that there'll be a little bit of upside. But remember, China is 15% of the business, and China has gotten materially worse over the last 3 months for everybody. So that's one of the risk factors.
It's a horrific-looking chart, Adrienne. It's dead money for 5 years, right? 6 years almost. Same level where it was. Go back and tell me. I don't know why I don't remember. What'd they say on July, whatever that was, 19th? I mean, stocks like Nike aren't supposed to go from 97 to 70 in a single day. What the hell was that?
So you are 100% correct. Over 5 years, we've basically gone up to 177 in the peak of 21, and then we came all the way right back down, and we're $15 off of the pandemic low in March of 2020. Right? This is not a good look. What they said in July on the last quarter, they lowered the FY25 guidance, and they basically guided to negative annual sales. This is a global growth company. You cannot be putting up negative sales. They also had guided, I remember the consensus was somewhere hanging out around 380, and they guided to effectively $3, right? They talked about franchise management, pulling out product out of the DTC channel, their core franchises, Air Jordan, Air Force One, Dunks, right? This is and then they talked about moving back to wholesale, which was going to be margin dilutive. So it was sort of a negative on a negative on a negative. And frankly, the leadership was the same. Right. So there was no underwriting of this strategy under that past leadership.
Interesting. So if this new guy had been there, none of that would have happened, Adrienne?
It's interesting. Like, in order to get to that point in time, decisions had to be made over John Donahoe's 4.5-year tenure. Right. So we had a couple of things that you couldn't control, right? Vietnam shut down on the marketplace, the manufacturing, the excess inventory. But what I would say the difference is that if, retail's all about the details, right? And so these big sweeping moves to DTC because the margins are better, big sweeping moves to get out of these franchises because, you think you're selling too much of them. I guess at the end of the day, we really think that somebody in there might have handled these issues a little bit better if they were very focused on inventory, very focused on supply chain.